The combat arena on Station Vex 7 hummed with anticipation. Hallie stood in the center of the ring, her hands loose at her sides, empty of any weapon. Across from her, the Kralaxian warrior Zexthor clicked his mandibles in what passed for laughter among his kind. His forearms bristled with plasma blades, energy shields, and a neural disruptor that could paralyze most species with a single pulse. "The human comes unarmed," Zexthor announced to the crowd, his translator converting his chittering into galactic standard. How quaint. How pathetic. The assembled aliens, Krylaxians, Vortheme merchants, and even a few crystalline observers rippled with amusement. Humans were new to the galactic community, barely a decade since first contact. They were known for their stubborn diplomacy and their strange emotional attachments, not for their combat prowess. Hallie's expression didn't change. She'd heard it all before. Every species in the galaxy had some natural advantage. The Krylaxians had their forearms and chitinous armor. The Vortheme had toxic skin. The Geltharians could manipulate gravity fields. Humans? Humans just had endurance, pattern recognition, and something the galaxy hadn't quite figured out yet, spite. "Last chance, human," Zexthor hissed. "Forfeit now and I'll make your death quick." Riley's voice crackled through Hallie's earpiece from the observation deck. "All systems nominal, Hal. His shield generators are overclocked on the left side. He's compensating for an old injury." "Copy that," Hallie murmured, barely moving her lips. The referee, a floating algorithmic entity, pulsed blue. "Combatants ready, begin." Zexthor lunged with the speed of a striking serpent, all four arms converging on Hallie's position. Plasma blades carved through the air where she'd stood a microsecond before. The crowd gasped. Humans weren't supposed to be that fast, but Hallie had trained in Earth's gravity, 1G compared to the 0.7G of the station. Every movement felt lighter, quicker. She'd spent 6 months conditioning her body to operate in this environment, and it showed. She rolled under Zexthor's guard, came up inside his reach. The Kralaxian's eyes widened, all 6 of them. He tried to bring his neural disruptor to bear, but Hallie's empty hands were already moving. The first strike hit the joint where Zexthor's lower right arm connected to his thorax. Humans had studied Krylaxian anatomy obsessively since first contact. They knew every weak point, every unarmored gap. The sound of cracking chitin echoed through the arena. Zexthor shrieked and stumbled back, but Hallie pressed forward. Those empty hands that he'd mocked became hammers, striking with precision that came from 1,000 hours of training. A palm strike to the neural cluster behind his primary eyes, a knuckle jab to the breathing spiracles along his neck. Each blow calculated, each impact designed to disable rather than kill. "Impossible!" someone shouted from the crowd. "Humans don't have combat enhancements." They didn't. That was the terrifying part. Zexthor activated his energy shields in desperation, but Riley had already identified the flaw. The overclocked left generator created a cascade failure when stressed. Hallie's next strike, a devastating elbow drop, hit exactly where it needed to. The shields flickered and died. You fight without honor," Zexthor gasped, backing toward the arena wall. "Without weapons, without technology." "We call it martial arts," Hallie said calmly. Her hands were still empty, still just flesh and bone. "We've been perfecting it for thousands of years." She moved in for the finish. Zexthor swung wildly with all 4 arms, but Hallie had already mapped his patterns. She ducked, weaved, and then delivered a spinning kick that would have looked impossible in Earth gravity. Here it was poetry. Her heel connected with Zexthor's center mass. The sound of breaking ribs, or their Krylaxian equivalent, cracked through the arena like gunshots. 3, 4, 5 of them snapped under the impact. The warrior collapsed, wheezing, his breathing spiracles whistling with each labored breath. The arena fell silent. Hallie stood over her fallen opponent, chest heaving, hands still empty. She hadn't drawn a weapon, hadn't used a single piece of technology beyond her training and her body. "Medical team to the arena," the referee announced, its tone lacking its usual algorithmic neutrality. Something almost like respect colored its words. Riley appeared at the arena entrance, grinning. "That's my girl. You just made humanity's reputation jump about 6 levels." The crowd's shock was giving way to something else: curiosity, fear, and a dawning realization. They'd dismissed humans as soft, weak, unenhanced, but they'd forgotten to consider what a species might become when they'd spent their entire evolution learning to kill without claws, without venom, without armor. Just hands. Just technique. Just the absolute refusal to quit. A Vortheme merchant approached cautiously. Your species, you all fight like this? Hallie shrugged, accepting a water bottle from Riley. This? This is basic. You should see what our special forces can do. She was bluffing, but only slightly. Humanity had brought something unique to the galaxy. The knowledge that the deadliest weapon wasn't the one you held in your hand. It was the mind that guided it, the will that refused to break, and the hands that never stopped training. Sex Thor was carried out on a medical stretcher, alive but humbled. He'd mocked the humans' empty hands. He'd never make that mistake again. Neither would anyone else watching. As Hallie left the arena, Riley draped an arm around her shoulders. So what's next? Food, Hallie said, flexing her sore knuckles. Then we find out who wants to test humanity's reputation next. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Humans didn't need to come armed. They were the weapon,